Britain's streets, a battle is raging. Over 11 million of us rent.
Oh, God.
But thousands fall victim to rogue landlords.
There's just water cascading through here.
Why should I live like this?
2 million of us are private landlords.
He's owed almost £10,000 in rent.
But many face financial ruin at the hands of bad tenants.
You're supposed to be out by yesterday.
Well, we're still here.
Get your hands up.
Don't push.
And that is what you're dealing with.
In this series, we're on the front line with the enforcement officers who crack down on rogue landlords.
There's a lot of scams going on.
This is gross exploitation. It just can't continue.
And the experts whose job it is to evict bad tenants.
This kind of stump boils my blood.
It can be a little bit scary at times. Hey! Oh, we called the police!
Oh, my God, look at that.
In this episode, we return to some of our most dramatic stories.
So when are you going to pay me the money?
A Northamptonshire landlord has his goodwill thrown back in his face.
They now owe me over £4,000.
Yeah.
You can pay.
A widow in Lincolnshire struggles to evict her unruly tenants.
That's a statement saying, up yours.
Oh my God.
And an elderly couple find themselves face to face with an angry squatter.
Hey, Tom, finish!
It's October 2016 and Wayne Elliott's on his way to inspect the house he once lived in. A place he used to love, but is now causing him no end of grief.
I think I can help people, so you do, you know. I class myself as quite a nice guy. She was in trouble, so, you know, if we can help, we'll help.
When Katie, an employee at the tanning shop Wayne runs, needed somewhere to live, Wayne offered to help. A decision he bitterly regrets.
The way she became the tenant was basically she hit hard times and she became homeless. I was just moving in with my partner and my property that I was in, I was going to rent it out. So I said, look, you move in there, it's fully furnished, it's got everything. And she didn't have anything at the time. And for the first about 6 months, it was fine.
The honeymoon didn't last. First, Katie stopped turning up for work, then stopped paying her rent.
We tried to phone her on numerous occasions. She sent us a text and said, you can't phone me, you can't text me, here's an email address. So we emailed her, we never got a reply. So that didn't really work very well. At that point, I knew there was no going back.
At no point did I think there was any naivety on Wayne's part. He was simply doing someone a favour, a good turn. You don't expect that to be thrown right back in your face. And when it is, it's galling.
Katie now owes Wayne over £3,000 in unpaid rent.
I just felt a bit of a mug, really, for trying to help somebody out. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's a right mess. You've got rubbish on the front lawn. The outside is bad, but it's the inside I'm worried about. I had new carpet in there, it's all wooden floors. You know, it's lovely inside. Really, really nice little house. Dread to think what it's like in there now.
It isn't just the mess that's worrying Wayne. There have also been reports of antisocial behaviour.
And we had the police knock on the door a couple of times, and because I think there's been complaints, but
right, but the police have been round a few times. Yeah.
Twice they've knocked on our door
Yeah.
and said, "Have we seen anything?"
I've just been told that the reason why the police were called because 2 of them were scrapping on the front lawn. Poor neighbours. I feel so sorry for them. Cheers, mate.
Just as Wayne is checking the back garden, he spots something. A man has dashed out of the house and disappeared into the woods.
Why are you running, mate? Why are you running away? Just come out the back of the house and just ran away. That wasn't open a minute ago, that top window. It's obviously somebody staying there and tried to do a runner out the back door and run away. Madness.
With no rent coming in and strangers in his property, Wayne's decided it's time to take his tenant to court. In March 2017, we met retired surveyor John Moxham and his wife Irene. They owned an 8-bed HMO, a house in multiple occupation.
Did a lovely job of doing the house up, spent a lot of money on it, and we gradually let the rooms. And of course they were all very nice professional people and there were no worries.
Initially, all went well. Their first tenants paid their rent and caused no problems. But 2 years ago, a new set of tenants moved in and their retirement dream turned sour.
All of a sudden things changed and it's gone downhill.
Just because you've got an 8-bedroom property doesn't mean you're going to make money. It's got to be managed. Managing 8 different tenancies is difficult. It can end up in an absolute nightmare if it goes wrong.
4 of the tenants owe more than £11,000 in missing rent. To make matters worse, there are problems with noise and vandalism.
The quality of the tenants, largely our own fault for not vetting them properly, but whatever. It's gone down to the state we got now, where we literally have a house full of bad guys.
I absolutely hate going there. I loathe and detest it. I will do anything rather than go, but of course you have to. Oh, it's just awful. I really feel quite sick when I go in.
Irene hates going there because several of the tenants have been abusive when they've raised concerns. Today, they're checking the state of the property, but even from the outside, it's clear that at least one tenant doesn't much care.
Just drops the rubbish out of his window. Normally, if it's liquid, it goes down the wall. Well, it's dry at the moment, and he drops it right down to here. Because he can't be bothered to push in the rubbish, he just flings it out of his window into the garden.
As the property is an HMO, by law the Moxhams are allowed inside to inspect the communal areas. Within minutes, it's obvious there's been trouble. One of the bedrooms, which was empty and locked, has been broken into and is now clearly occupied. By whom, they have no idea.
Oh my God.
And they've obviously gemmed it open.
Oh, the smell is absolutely awful. Dreadful. Dreadful.
Oh my Christ. Somebody spewed in the sink.
Absolutely awful. I can't believe it's this bad, that it's turned into this. I can't believe that they've done this to it. I can't.
John and Irene Moxham run an 8-bed rental property in Kent and have just discovered that one of the rooms has been broken into and unlawfully occupied. Downstairs in the kitchen, they meet the possible culprit. And even though he's not meant to be there, he isn't afraid to tell the landlords what he thinks about his new home.
So it's not nice to them, bro. You know what I mean? People have been paying you a lot of money for living here. Look at the states in the Facebook. You're going to sort of name cat in here, yeah? Right, come on, raise the excuse. The water mains is your brother coming from the bath water, bro. The house is bodged up. Look at the state of it, mate. You've only remembered everything. You're saying special, bro. You rich people with money, yeah? But this house, yeah? Oh, you get paid like $3 grand a month, yeah? I don't care, yeah? Yeah, I don't live here. I've got my own place. Personally, I don't care. I don't live here, yeah? But listen, the way I see it is you're a bad guy, mate. You're a bad guy, bro. I'm self-rules, yeah? I'm blue. I'm dignity, bro, yeah? You think about money, bro. Money.
I wish I had some.
What they're
I
like.
swear to God, I'll send one of my youths around here, I'll make you laugh.
As the rant becomes more threatening,
I did, well, I'll just smack you in the mouth, really, bro. I ain't that guy, innit, do you know what I mean?
John and Irene retreat upstairs.
It's just dreadful. Dreadful. He doesn't even live here, no. Doesn't even live here. And that's the sort of thing that we get. That's why I said to you I didn't like coming down here.
After 2 years of grief and missing rent, John and Irene have reached the end of the road with their nightmare tenants. They've started legal proceedings to have them kicked out. In Kettering, landlord Wayne Elliott has obtained a court order telling his former employee and tenant, Katie, to leave his property within 14 days. The deadline has now expired and Wayne's on his way to find out if she's abated.
She caused a lot of pain, a lot of stress. It's hurt more than anything else. I thought, you know, we had a relationship. She worked for me, she was a tenant, and she's completely abused that. I'm hoping she's out, but I doubt it.
If Katie is still there, his only option is to pay bailiffs to physically remove her.
To be brutally honest, I want her evicted by bailiffs. I want the humiliation, because she's cost me so much money and embarrassment after all the help and assistance I've given her. There's no key in the door.
It isn't clear whether Katie has left or not, but Wayne isn't allowed to enter if there's any chance she's still there. With no answer at the front door and the curtains closed, Wayne goes round the back to search for more clues.
Look at the state of this. You've got a dead bird, and then you've got a kid's toy next door to it. I can't even clean it up. Absolutely unbelievable. Smashed window. Smashed window. No, she's definitely still in there.
Convinced Katie hasn't left, Wayne calls his lawyer, Chris Sharp, for advice.
Hi Wayne, how are you doing?
Well, we're at the property and there's no one in. We've looked through the letterbox. There still seems to be kids' shoes up the stairwell.
This is your position. Even though the order has now run its course, you must walk away and get a bailiff. Because if you don't, and you go in there thinking that you've got the power of the order, you are still committing potentially an unlawful eviction.
I had to be quite firm with Wayne because I didn't want him to get into a confrontation with her or take it upon himself to go in. Because, yeah, he had an order, but the order is simply a piece of paper which, if she ignores, just entitles you to get a bailiff. It does not in any way allow you to go back into that property.
You do not want to be going down that route because it's a criminal offence and the fines are massive. So walk away, Wayne.
Could you book me a bailiff then?
We'll get on with that. We'll book you a bailiff, Wayne.
OK, brilliant. As soon as possible.
That's not a problem, Wayne.
Lovely. Hopefully now, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to get my own back. Why should she be in my house for the last 6 months, rent-free? It's unbelievable. So, yes, I am looking forward to the eviction.
In 14 days, bailiffs will arrive to evict his unruly tenant. All Wayne can do is walk away and pray his house will still be in one piece. At the end of 2016, 59-year-old widow Jill Mercer was fighting for possession of her rental property. 2 years before, she had let the 4-bed bungalow to tenants Mark and Kim and their 5 children. It's a decision she wished she'd never made.
Basically, they now owe me over £4,000, which is quite a bit of money nowadays.
Jill has already served her tenants with an eviction notice telling them to pay up or leave. She's about to find out if it's had any effect.
It looks like a junk site.
It seemed her tenants are ignoring the order, but Jill wants to make one last effort to convince them to leave. Her tenant, Mark, soon spots her.
Just come see what state it's in. Sorry? Obviously, he has no intention of leaving, does he?
Jill's case was quite a sad case because her and her partner worked very hard to purchase the property, and she heavily relied on that rental income.
To make matters worse, Jill has grown fond of the family, and evicting them is the last resort.
I do feel sorry for him. I know he's very much a family man. It is sad. I do feel guilty because I've got 5 children, but I can't afford to do it. With no rent coming in, there's no mortgage being paid.
Mark and a friend then come to confront Jill.
Don't think it's got anything to do with you, has it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why? Do you live here? No, so what's it got to do with you?
It's got nowhere after when you kick him out.
Look, I
Where's he
bent
going?
over backwards for Mark.
Metal work I've done to your friends as well. Unbelievable.
You get paid for it.
Unbelievable, Jill.
You get paid
towards
for
your
it.
rent. That's the funny thing about it all.
Yeah.
The work I do,
I said to
all
you,
goes to you.
When you
exactly.
come back,
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
you can pay this month's rent. You went, no.
Well, I've been paying you cash, Jill.
At the beginning,
Jill?
yeah, you were making it up, but not the full rent. You
Jill,
say what you
I'll see
like,
you
Mark.
at court, don't you? The 28th.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You drug yourself in it, not me. That's
Okay.
it. Ta-da.
Obviously, he has no intention of leaving, does he? You know, I'm upset. He knows what I've gone through.
Bye.
Bye.
As the tenants are refusing to leave, Jill has no option but to take them to court. John and Irene Moxham's dream of supplementing their pension with an 8-bed rental property has turned sour. 2 years ago, an unruly group of tenants moved in and have turned their nest egg into a money pit. They're now owed over £11,000 in unpaid rent.
Well, we want our house back.
Yeah, we want the house. Yeah.
It's our house, we want it back. And we want to be able to do things, make it nice again as it was.
Today, they're on their way to court to try and win a possession order and evict their tenants.
They are so thick-skinned that they might just show up. I hope they don't. But they might. I'm just basically wanting it to be over today.
Hello, Ian. I'm John.
Hello.
This is my wife, Irene.
Meeting John and Irene outside the courthouse is their advocate, Ian Kane. He knows there is no guarantee of success, especially if the tenants fight the case.
Now, I've already spoken to the ushers at court today, and I understand the defendants haven't yet arrived, but of course ultimately they can turn up any time up until we're actually in before the judge. Presuming everything goes to plan today, the judge should make a mandatory order for possession, but unfortunately you can never predict exactly what a judge is going to do in these sorts of cases.
Palpitations, I think. I want it over. I just want it over. And get on.
Fingers crossed.
Let's go see what happens.
Less than an hour later, the hearing's over.
We've got it. Panic over. Everything's going to be fine.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a relief, eh?
They were really, really stressed. So I was really pleased that when they got the 14-day possession order, that it meant that we were almost there.
John and Irene's tenants now have 14 days to leave the property. If they don't go voluntarily, John will have to pay bailiffs to physically throw them out. For Wayne Elliott, it's eviction day, and he's hoping to confront his tenant Katie before she disappears.
Today, at 10:30, the bailiffs are turning up, so I'm hoping to have a little chat with her to find out why she's done this. I rented it to her as a friend, as a favour. I trusted this woman.
Waiting outside the property is eviction lawyer Chris Sharp, who's been advising Wayne.
The lights are on, but I've been here about an hour, but that light has been on ever since. I don't know if she's in or not.
Wayne is desperate to see the inside of his house, but he can only enter once Katie has moved out.
Key's still in the door. There's still somebody in there, definitely.
Just have to wait, Wayne.
Yeah.
For the bailiff. In no way get confrontational. Just let them get on with it. Let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing you want now is for her to just have any reason to call the police.
Minutes before the bailiffs arrive, Katie makes her move. Ignoring Chris's advice, Wayne tries to get some answers.
You got the key, Katie? So when are you going to pay me the money you owe me?
Go and have a look at the house.
It doesn't matter about the house. What about all the rent? What about all the rent you owe me? What about all the rent you owe me? Hey? So I can go in the house now then, yeah?
Yeah, of course
So you've got to say it on camera.
Have a look, it's all tidy.
It doesn't matter. What about the rent, Katie? What about the inconvenience and all the money?
Katie locks herself in the van.
All right, mate.
Under the circumstances, I think Wayne's reaction was fantastic, because here you have an individual who's basically just taking liberties with Wayne for months. So I think he conducted himself with great restraint.
As Katie's not talking, Wayne heads for the house.
She's left her rubbish, obviously. Look at that.
On the surface, the property looks in fairly good condition. But then Wayne opens the door to the cellar.
Oh my God, look at that. They've dumped all their crap in the cellar.
For Wayne, this was a real slap in his face. She'd taken advantage of him, she'd not paid him any rent, and she'd treated his house like it was just some hovel. It was terrible. Wayne was really upset. Is that your telly, Wayne?
Is it a telly? Not only did she owe me a load of rent, but now I've got to dispose of her belongings that she doesn't want or need anymore, i.e. sofa, mattresses, rubbish. It's just sick.
In Lincolnshire, Jill Mercer is on her way to court. Her tenants owe her over £4,000 in rent, and today she's hoping to win a possession order so she can evict them. But a letter from the tenant's solicitor reveals some worrying news.
They want to put up a defence of some sort. I'm putting a counterclaim. I'd love to know what the counterclaim is. I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I was cross, angry, sick.
If the judge thinks the tenants have a strong defence, the case could be adjourned or, worse still, thrown out. As Jill's struggling to keep up with the mortgage payments on the property, it's a huge worry.
Try and get on with my life. Can't afford to spend any money. It cost me thousands and thousands. And of course, next month, it'll be another 600 on top of that.
Just half an hour later, the tenants are seen leaving the court. For Jill, it's not good news.
Well, basically, we have to go through it all again. The judge didn't dispute the fact that there was rent arrears. It's the fact that it wasn't in both names. The Section 8 was only issued to mark Loveday. It is basically null and void and had to go through the whole process again with her name on.
As both tenants' names were on the tenancy agreement and only one was on the Section 8 notice, Mark and his wife have bought themselves more time.
As they left the door, hearing that I would have to pay court expenses, they laughed and walked out. So basically, they've gone away laughing. Still got to pay the mortgage, and they're still living there for nothing. So I'm fuming. But I just feel, what is the justice? You know, what is the justice? I don't know. Give up. Well, I don't give up, but I do. I'll end up having to give up.
It's 7 months since Wayne evicted Katie, and he and his girlfriend have been busy.
The conditions of the house when we first got it back, it was absolutely filthy. It was minging, completely minging. The windows were smashed. It was rammed with rubbish. It was just filthy. You couldn't live in it, so we just had to rip everything out. And once you start, you can't stop. Oscar's done the door. He's done some modifications on the door, as you can see. He's eaten it. All right, mate.
Wayne has moved back in and redecorated the house from top to bottom.
This is the cellar. This was the dumping ground. This is where she'd stuffed everything. Over there was a smashed telly. It was just full of crap, really.
His ordeal was made worse as the property was his former home and filled with personal belongings.
Now, this is our bedroom. When Katie moved in, she had nothing, so I left her the bed, there was new linen, even the duvet, the pillars, everything. We had to throw everything out. We found beer bottles, fag, everything. The carpet was minging. Oh, it was horrible.
Now Wayne has his property back, he's had plenty of time to reflect on what went wrong.
I think it was a bad judge of character on my part. I didn't do any references, I didn't take a deposit, I did it as a favour. She was homeless, she'd been kicked out of her house by a boyfriend. She was working for him at the time. I just thought, do the right thing, Wayne, and, you know, it will come back tenfold, you know what I mean? She'd be loyal at work, and stupidly I was wrong. I do question my decisions a little bit more, but I'm not going to go on life just because Katie didn't pay me some rent and like wrecked my house. I'm not going to hold a grudge against that. I'm just going to move on.
Two weeks ago, John and Irene Moxham won a court order telling their tenants to leave their 8-bed HMO. Now they're on their way to see if it's had any effect.
Well, we're up to do our check. Know that the notices are expired, to see if anyone's left the property voluntarily, as it were.
If even one of the 6 tenants is still there, John will be forced to pay bailiffs to physically evict him. An extra expense on top of the £13,000 he's already lost in rent and legal fees. And if the squatter hasn't moved out, it could become even more complicated.
I'm not optimistic, I have to say.
As they pull up to the house, it isn't looking good.
Well, the windows are open upstairs. That's the squatter's room, so he's obviously still here.
If he's still, we'll see.
It looks like it. Let's hope he doesn't go mad again today.
Waiting for them outside the property is Jim, their builder.
Jim, thanks for coming, mate. I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing, but just have to have a look around and see, and we'll see if there's any action needed or not.
John wants Jim to renovate the property and size up the job. As they head inside, there's no sign of the squatter, but someone else is seen making a quick exit.
Who's that? Hello?
Is that one of your tenants, John?
No. Where did he come from?
Upstairs, John discovers another locked bedroom has had its door kicked in.
Well, somebody has broken in. Oh, man, we haven't done that.
There is nothing John can do but ask Jim to board up the rooms again.
If I go down, I'll get some drills and some screws and we'll secure the doors.
Yeah.
OK, leave that with me.
John checks the other rooms to see which, if any, of his tenants have moved out. One of them, at least, appears to have gone.
Look at this.
I just love the way they leave the heaters on and all the windows open.
Yeah, they can be turned off, Jim.
Yeah,
I can't believe this. Well, I can, actually.
It's phenomenal, isn't it?
Further along the corridor, Another room is empty and another tenant gone.
He was the one who had just moved in and just never paid. He paid 2 weeks' rent nearly a year ago and hasn't paid since.
No swearing, please.
Oh, dear.
It's amazing people can live like this.
As Jim boards up the empty rooms, John and Irene continue their tour of the property and are disappointed to discover not everyone is obeying the court order.
You know this is the last day you're supposed to... Well, yesterday, you should have been out yesterday. So are you saying that when I come down Monday, you won't be here?
Might not be. They're all the same.
You're well past the date, and the problem I've got is I've got to get the bailiff. Now, I don't want to pay the bailiff because it'll go down to you, and I should chase you for the money that you owe if you make me do that. So you've got to do something.
I don't care.
The nicer you are to them, the worse they are to you. I put up with all this nonsense. Drunken women, smashed bloody showers, clean as pissy drains. I'm actually disappointed in humanity.
To avoid paying for bailiffs, John and Irene give the remaining tenants a few more days to move out. They can only hope they cooperate. For the past 6 months, Jill Mercer has been battling to evict her tenants. But 5 weeks ago, there was a surprising twist. The tenants have agreed to surrender the property in exchange for writing off their £7,000 rent arrears.
Jill was quite close to potentially losing her home, so if the case had gone on for much longer, the mortgage company would have probably started legal action against Jill.
It's now time for Jill to get her property back.
I really have no idea what to expect.
Despite the agreement, Jill's worried that they won't stick to their word.
It's almost like apprehension going up there now. They've caused so much aggro, I feel they've got some little twist at the end of it.
It's Jill's first visit to the property in 5 months.
Oh, there we go.
It looks like the family have finally left. But it isn't just the tenants that have disappeared.
The conservatory is missing. Well, there goes the fencing. We've cut a fence in there. And 2 lots of kennels and dog runs gone. And dog kennels are worth what? If you try to buy them, they're probably about £2,000 or £3,000 each. Oh, God. Conservatory.
The tenant, Mark, built the conservatory himself after moving in. He obviously isn't prepared to leave it for Jill.
He's just pulled the conservatory down and smashed it to pieces. To me, that's a statement. That's a statement saying, up yours. You know.
As the outside is a mess, Jill fears the worst as she heads inside.
Look, it's filthy.
But she's pleasantly surprised.
Not as bad as I thought it could have been. Windows are all intact, doors are basically intact, broken lock, no loose heat. I'm feeling quite relieved that it's not absolutely destroyed.
Now the property is back in her hands, Jill has time to reflect on the traumatic experience.
If this had gone much longer, I would have lost everything, including my mind, I think. It just seems such a shame. You know, why?
It's 3 weeks since John Moxham won the possession order for his HMO, and as all the tenants have finally agreed to leave, he can get the builders in.
Morning, John.
One of the best outdoor people.
Okay, John, we're gonna. The other lads will be here. We'll start to cart it all out. I'm going to.
The inside of the house is so damaged that it needs a complete overhaul.
Just to then get on, they start to clear the whole place.
But before the builders can begin, there's one more hurdle to jump. The tenants may have vacated, but the squatter who's been abusive towards John and Irene is still here.
Hey, Charles, you understand me, mate? Hey, mugs, all there.
All right, listen. How are you? All right, now listen.
This guy had no right to be in the property. He had no say. He wasn't paying any rent. He was just causing havoc.
Got a text message saying that the squatter, when he's not even a tenant, had gone in and had smashed the place up, and some of the neighbours called the police, and there was quite a lot of chaos.
On Friday.
All right, buddy.
Jim the builder eventually manages to calm the situation and convince the squatter to leave.
You get them to phone me. I'll tell them what's going on.
While the squatter gathers up his belongings, Jim and his team start work.
Phil, what we're going to do is we're stockpiling all the stuff just over here.
There you go. Now look at all the stuff under there. Unreal. Unbelievable. No respect for people's property.
An hour later, the squatter's parents arrive to collect him and his few belongings.
This awkward guy that'd been mouthing off and he was a right pain in the backside, he called his parents up and his parents picked him up in a nice car and took him home to go home to his nice warm bed.
Hopefully we're on the home straight, and presumably it won't be just financially crippling either. Because, I mean, you wouldn't believe the cost of all this so far. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Now everyone is out, John and Jim's next job is to turn a hellhole into a habitable home. Four months on, John and Irene have decided not to continue as landlords and are now preparing to sell the property.
It's coming on, isn't it, new one? It's definitely getting there. And what's the new floor? It's a new floor. Are you doing all right? That new floor looks good there. We've been very, very busy. We've done an awful lot of work, actually.
The couple are converting the 8-bed HMO back into the family home it used to be.
Yeah, this was 4 rooms.
Can you see where the 4 lights are? Each one of those was a separate single room. So we've put that back.
So it's a nice big room now.
All the partitions have been ripped out and the walls made good, and we put it back to a single room again, which it always was. It was originally built. Oh, this was the room that had the famous bowl of sick in it. All the remains of the sick around there, and there was like a tide mark of sick around at that height. Dreadful.
It was.
You can laugh about it now, but it's not really funny.
It wasn't funny at the time, no. It was soul destroying at the time.
And this was the room that the squatter was in. It's coming together, as you can see. It's quite rewarding, really, to see it. Basically, I shall be glad to get the responsibility of it off my hands.
It'd be a relief.
And it'll be relief.
And as soon as the house is sold, John and Irene can finally start enjoying their retirement.
It was an awful time they gave us. It was awful.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of hard work.
And if we get the sale, then we can walk away from it.
Then we can crack open the bottle of Moe.
Yeah. No, I don't drink Moe, too expensive.
No, we've got one at home that was a present.
It's 6 months since Jill Mercer's tenants left her property. She's moved back into her former home, but isn't planning to stay for long.
I do love the bungalow, I do love it, but too much for me, so I actually put the property on the market and it is now sold, and we're just waiting for things to go through, and then hopefully I can take off to Southern Ireland.
Even though Jill loved living here before her partner died, the recent events have ruined those memories.
As much as I love it, it hasn't got the same appeal anymore. There isn't, it's too much good history, but there's too much bad history now. At the end of the day, it's time to move on. Now's the time to let somebody else enjoy it.
Getting her troublesome tenants out cost Jill over £7,000 in lost rent and legal fees. But that wasn't the last she heard from them.
The council sent me a letter because they want to go on the housing register. Would I give a reference? Well, I thought, they're having a laugh. Reference? So I just said to the council, look, I'm not giving them a reference. Suddenly they turn up at my doorstep, just ranting and raving and telling me I have got to sign this thing for the council or else. I just couldn't believe the audacity, because there's me thinking that's it, over, and they're still harassing me. And in fact, it's got that bad, I'm leaving England. I'm going to go to Ireland. Yes, I should be glad when it's gone and I can move on.
While the inside of the property just needed redecorating, the outside needed a lot more work to put right.
Conservatory windows up there, smashed. There's tyres all over the place. There were tyres in the hedges. And all the fencing was all broken, smashed on the floor. So I've cleared all that. The worst thing is he cut my cherry tree down, because my partner, who I lost, he died very suddenly. We planted it when we moved in here. Everything else is materialistic, replaceable, has no real meaning, but the cherry tree did. Still, as you can see, still a lot of tidying up to do, but we're getting there. It was hard work, and staying strong was quite hard. But we got there.